Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction, haunted entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we return to you this week to talk about a cartoon. It's always kind of nice when we get the episode ideas dropped in our lap halfway through the week as we're kind of just trying to think about what we want to do. And then something comes along and goes, splat, right in our lap. And that's exactly what happened this week. We're going to be talking about the Fox animated sitcom, The Great North, and specifically their latest episode, which focused heavily on a family-created haunted attraction.
Exactly.
And some very relatable pressures that I think everyone listening to this is going to understand just about immediately. But we'll get on to that in a minute. First things first, we got to do the business, and that includes... be sure to add us at all the places we exist. We're at hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, Haunt Weekly on YouTube. That is a great way to catch up on previous episodes and search for episodes you may have missed. But if that doesn't work, you can also catch us wherever you get your podcast from on pretty much every podcast provider. All right. So we don't have any housekeeping this week, and as far as work we did for the haunt, we did not do much this week.
No,
I don't think we did. We both actually were quite ill, and the weather in New Orleans was quite shitty. We had some personal things happen that we're not going to talk about on the podcast happen last Friday as we were heading into the weekend when we would have done the work. And honestly, we just were not in the headspace for it. It was a really rough weekend last week. Nothing was going our way. We were not mentally or physically well enough to do a significant amount. I do hope to get in sometime this coming weekend and take care of that closet we've been talking about for a couple of weeks now, that storage area. But I know that this weekend is also tax weekend.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing that because we are on the ball, as every year.
You know, I always say I have the excuse I have to wait to make sure I get all my tax documents in. Because as a sole proprietor, everyone's supposed to get their 1099s, like, what, the end of January is what the law says?
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
That never fucking happens. Been doing this for damn near 20 years. That has never happened that I can recall. I got a few as late as mid-March this year. So I had to wait. And this year, especially with the new 1099 rules, I really had to wait. So I have a little bit of an excuse, but yeah, I still put it up like a month. And I don't know what Ellie and you are doing, because y'all have simple ones.
Yeah, I had told myself I was going to do it at the beginning of the March, and since I told myself, my brain goes, okay, that's done.
Yeah, you have a weird relationship with procrastination that it's not procrastination, it's outright forgetting.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
anyway.
As soon as I say that something will be done, it is done, even though it's not.
So, we do have a pretty open weekend otherwise, so we'll probably find a little time, and maybe we need a little break from the frustrations of tax work. So we will come out here and take, tools to wood. It might be a nice reprieve, right? Especially since the weather actually is supposed to be pretty nice.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, every week we try to ask a question of the week, and last week, well, we covered the card game Scream Park.
Yes.
Had a great time with it, even though we had some suggestions that I think should be implemented to improve it. But yes, indeed. So we asked you guys, what haunt-related card or board games do you recommend? And of course, it was like flashing the bat signal. Japes showed up to say, Betrayal at House on the Hill and is a must, and Gloom. And
yes, and Betrayal at House on the Hill is actually one we already own.
Didn't we kickstart that one too?
No.
Okay, we didn't.
No, we bought it from the gaming place that was going out of business. I'm like, "Ooh, this looks spooky," and it's only $10 on their going out of business sale. Let's
Yeah.
get it. We actually took it over and we're gonna play it after the card game, but we've played the card game for so long, the scare part,
Yeah.
Scream Park,
Yeah,
that,
between learning and taking the 2 times through it.
yeah,
That we were all
that
peopled out by the time we got done with just
and
2
so were
rounds
our
of
friends.
yeah.
So
And that
we've got that for next time.
yeah, that actually is on the plan, and it was like you said, it was kinda funny, I remember it now, because there was this game store not far from our house that we went to a couple of times, we bought some things from,
Yeah.
we enjoyed, but I think they just had a crap location.
Yeah, and I think they needed some marketing help.
Yeah,
But
but regardless, they were not open very long. They
no,
were only open, like, 6 months or so, and we actually ended up going by we went by there for something completely different.
a
No, we
desk,
huh?
a desk.
Yeah, because we had heard they were going out of business and we wanted one of the desks.
Yeah, and to look and see if they had any of the nice gaming chairs still left.
Yeah, and they did not have any of the chairs,
No.
but we did get a desk,
Mhm.
and we ended up perusing their games and got that one, as you said.
Mm.
And the other answer we got,
Sean Fenner said, "Oh, the horror." We had a lot of fun with that.
I've never heard of that one, honestly.
Nope.
We're gonna have to look that and Gloom up. But Betrayal at House on the Hill, we do own, and yes, we will be playing it sometime soon. So expect an episode about that upcoming shortly. Now, this week's question week actually deals with a future episode
Mhm.
that we're going to be doing. We're actually working on. But what horror films were shot at haunted attractions other than the houses October built? Please leave that one out.
Yes, we know that one. Thank you.
We already did an whole episode on it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we've already seen that one. We already did an episode on it. No, I'm not going to tell you what number. A, I don't remember, and B, I didn't particularly like the film or the episode. So
Yeah.
there you go. I'm not going to recommend it. But yeah, we know that one. In fact, we know that one was partially filmed near us at Rise. So but yeah, what other horror films were shot at haunted attractions? Let us know. HauntWeekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, YouTube.com/Haunt Weekly, and wherever podcasts are distributed. All right. Well, this is also an episode number divisible by 2, which means we get to do conference reminders. And I have gone through and updated conference reminders, even though not a lot is new. This week, we are set up for the next, few months. So
Mhm.
on that note, Crystal, will you please kick us off?
East Coast Haunters Convention is going to be April 24th through the 27th at the Oaks, Pennsylvania, the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center. Jesus Christ. Okay. Pre-haunt tour features Brighton Asylum and Fright Factory. Friday night haunts or tours are featuring Hershey Park and Field of Screams, paired with the East Coast Christmas Show, eastcoasthauntersconvention.com.
All right, April 25th through the 27th in Los Angeles, California. It's Spooky Swap Meet at the Heritage Square Museum. Great place to buy the gently loved items, including costumes and decor, created by the co-founder of Midsummer Scream, SpookySwapMeet.com for more details.
Okay, Halfway to Halloween Expo is going to be May 10th in Ann Arbor in Ann Arbor, Michigan at the Washtenaw Farm Council ground. There'll be a Hearst show, food trucks, local haunted house collaboration, halfway to HalloweenMI.com.
And finally this week, the Midwest Haunters Convention is coming June 6th through the 8th at Rosemont, Illinois, the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. Find out more details at MidwestHauntersConvention.com.
I'm just realizing every time we watch a movie where they don't do a retake of a line flub,
Yeah.
we can't really make fun of them because we do that all the time.
Yes, we do. But hey, we're not shooting a movie with a budget.
I know, and we
just-
don't have other people working on it,
Nope.
like a whole crew dedicated to make sure we get our shit right.
Nope. No. We can absolutely make fun of it. We're 2 idiots and a recorder.
That's pretty much it.
Yes. But anyways, that's the upcoming haunts. And yeah, there is a lot of neat stuff coming up. Future haunted attraction events include the Michigan Haunted Fest. Texas Haunters Convention is coming back and they've relocated. We'll have more on that soon. And Hauntmare Expo, just to name a few. I'm excited to talk about these when they come up in the next few weeks. All right. Well, on that note, everyone, let's see. We wanted to talk about this episode for kind of sort of two separate reasons. One is because representation of haunted attractions matters. Now,
Right.
were you about to say something? Sorry.
No.
Okay. One of the things, as most of you know, in my day job, I do copyright and plagiarism related issues.
Mhm.
I have an entire series of posts called Plagiarism in Pop Culture,
Right.
where I take a look at how plagiarism is used as a plot point or is used as something in a pop culture event, in pop culture of an episode of a TV show, a movie, something similar, and I cover it and I analyze it and I see if it's a good representation or a bad representation.
Mhm.
So the first reason we wanted to talk about it was representation matters.
Yeah, and we've talked about that idea before when we've done movie reviews and such, and how they sometimes get haunted attractions just wrong.
Like when we reviewed the houses that October built.
For not wanting to give them more publicity. You sure are mentioning them a lot.
Sorry.
Um,
Well, it's just bad representation.
yeah, I know.
But the point
But-
being, yes.
But yeah, last week, we were treated to an episode of The Great North that focused on a family haunted attraction.
And the other reason, by the way, we wanted to mention this is because I think a lot of us are going to identify with the characters on this one.
Yeah.
And we want to talk about what we would have done differently, even if the representation, I think, is still overall pretty good. Spoiler,
Yeah.
the representation was pretty fun and pretty good.
Yeah.
Considering it's a silly animated sitcom.
Mhm.
All right, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
So, the show was called The Great North, and if you hadn't heard of it, I can't honestly blame you.
Yeah.
It's been around since it premiered January 3rd, 2021,
Mhm.
and it's part of the Fox Sunday lineup, but it's always like the fourth one. There's 4 shows in it usually,
Yeah.
and then but they're up against like Simpsons, Family Guy, and Bob's Burgers, and then there's the 4th one. That's been The Great North for a significant chunk of the time.
Yeah. And it was created by Wendy and Lizzie Molyneux and Minty Lewis. Wendy and Lizzie are sisters, and they worked on Bob's Burgers. So it's kind of that same kind of family atmosphere.
Yeah, it's a very similar family dynamic,
Hmm.
just in an extremely different location, as we're going to get into.
Well, and it's a single father, and instead of a full,
That is true.
But single parent home.
But the dynamic among the siblings is still very identifiable as being similar to Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, it
And-
reads genuine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's exactly where I'm going with this. It reads like a very genuinely loving, albeit exaggerated caricature of a family.
Hmm.
And in that family is the Tobins.
Mhm.
And basically, the Tobins live in a fictional rural town in Alaska.
Yeah.
In fact, part of their theme song is from the Longest Night to the Darkest Day. So talking about how they don't get sun necessarily for extended periods of time. But yes, they live in a small town in Alaska where their primary business is, as a lot of people in this town seem to have, fishing.
Yes.
They are a fishing family, and all of them pitch in and contribute to the fishing family normally. But season 5, episode 8, they attempted to find, we'll say, a side hustle.
Well, okay, so Wolf Tobin, who's voiced by Will Forte, and Honeybee Shaw, who's voiced by Dulce Sloan, they are always coming up with money-making ideas.
And to be clear, Wolf Tobin is the eldest son of Beef Tobin,
Right,
who is the patriarch of the family.
right.
And Honeybee is his wife. So she's not actually like a blood relative to the family, but she's very much embraced as a member of the family.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
She's totally embraced as a member of the family and totally fits the dynamic too. She is knucking futz.
Yes.
In a wonderful way.
Yeah.
I mean that nicely.
Well, yeah, and she's actually the one that brought Halloween celebrations to the Tobins.
Yeah, that was that whole episode
Uh-huh.
about that. She was really passionate about Halloween before she ever moved to Alaska. She moved from like California
Yeah, exactly.
and moved to Alaska to be with Wolf. And as a result, literally, she's the fish out of water,
Uh-huh.
but is still well loved, which is great to have her around because she's the one that can go, "What are y'all talking about?"
Exactly.
And they have to explain shit to her. That's the whole
Yes.
beauty of having Bunny be there.
Yeah.
But anyways, moving
Yeah,
on.
but they come up with to do the idea to do a ghost ship tour after hours adventure, which
Actually sounds kinda cool.
yeah,
I'm not sure about the practicalities and the safety laws of doing anything on a boat.
I'm sure that they checked it out as much as any small town attraction does.
And then there's that element.
Although, Lone Moose, which is the town,
Yeah.
does seem to have a lot of codes because there was that whole episode about breaking codes.
Yes. But it's also worth noticing they have, like, one law enforcement person,
Yeah, and there's a
and she does
bird.
all the law enforcement.
What is there's like a town mayor or something that's a bird?
Yeah, the town's
It's
really a
weird.
confusing entity, and I think that's by design.
Yeah,
It's a lot like Springfield in that I don't think you're supposed to understand it.
right.
So that way, whenever they wanna pull something out of their ass that's weird about the
Mhm.
town, they absolutely can, and
Yes,
do, and will again, I'm very sure.
yes.
But yes, they do the ghost boat, as they call it, and the idea is fairly straightforward. You as a customer in this scenario, go on a boat, assuming you wear a life jacket, and they take you through the harbor.
I don't think they had life jackets on.
They should have.
Well, yeah, but, like, you say that, but I don't think anybody on it was wearing it
In fact, ironically, one of the kids was wearing chains that were
by the
clearly
end of it,
yeah,
but we'll talk about that,
yeah.
yeah.
But the point is, the family will give you snacks and food
Yeah,
and put on a show that includes both things outside the boat, little displays they put up.
yeah.
Very curious how they pulled that one off.
They have a boat, they can get to land that's surrounded by water.
Yeah,
I
true.
mean
But yeah, so they had displays outside the water, and the family on the boat acted in it as well, playing various characters and telling a story. And of course, Beef was piloting the boat
right,
and providing some artificial turbulence, we'll say, the entire time.
exactly, that's those extra effects.
Yeah, so, and it was really kind of a neat thing because literally every member of the family was doing something.
E Except for Moon, who's the youngest.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, but
Yeah,
everyone old enough.
yeah,
Moon's job, as we found out a little later, was to pee himself. We'll get to that in a minute.
yeah,
But yes, basically everyone is contributing. That includes um, Wolf and Bee, who are Honeybee, who are the producers. Ham, who provides guests with desserts because he's the middle child.
mhm.
Beef Tobin, the dad, once again, is the ship's captain. Judy Tobin, um, I forget, she's roughly the same age as Ham, right?
I think that they're twins.
Yeah, I think they are twins. Plays the ghost, and Jerry Shaw, this is Honeybee's brother, I believe.
Correct.
Plays the abominable snowman. Of course, that comes up in a minute or two.
Yeah,
But yeah, anyways, they go off on what seemed like it was their first voyage,
mhm.
and everyone had an amazing time. Everything went off without a hitch. Customers loved it and left rave reviews online, and most importantly, and most specially, the local newspaper covered the attraction because this is a thing that a local newspaper in town, Lone News, 100% would do.
Yeah, definitely, because they didn't have an attraction like this before, even though there are a lot of boats.
And even though they seem to actually get a fair amount of tourists,
Yeah, but
I
it's not for any kind of haunted attraction. This
yeah,
may be the first and only haunted attraction in this imaginary town.
that is true. Then again, Lone Moose seems to change size as
Yeah,
well
true.
between episodes. Like I said, they keep a lot about the town very vague, which I think is for the purpose of the plot. But anyways, the review's coming out. I loved the review.
Mhm.
The review part where they're sitting around and reading the review, it's a short segment, but it reminds me of what we used to do when we were doing the garbage horror reviews.
Yeah.
And that we would try to hit every point and every type of person in the haunt.
Mhm.
And, at least, say something that could be improved or say something, touch every head. Touch the design, touch the,
Yeah, we had categories that we wanted to get through and make sure that we talked about,
I wanted everyone who had worked on that haunt in any significant capacity to hear about it from us.
yeah,
And and that also helped people who were going to go to the haunt educate themselves about it.
right, and we wanted to, if there was something that was outstanding, We wanted to call attention to that, especially actors who were putting in extra effort and work,
Mhm.
or if they had beautiful sets. Now, if it was, and just give an overall feel for what the haunt was like.
Yeah, exactly. But they did this great thing where they touched on every member of the family, even little Moon Tobin,
Uh-huh.
who did not actually contribute to the haunt.
No, he was, actually scared.
Yeah, he was actually with the customers.
Yeah.
He was on the ship with the
Yeah,
customers.
the customers thought he was some random kid that was just doing it. He didn't they which I don't know how that is because it's a small town, so they
Yeah,
should've
this
they
he
should've
and he's
recognized
the
him.
kid in the goddamn bear suit. Like, he
Yeah,
should be immediately recognized.
yeah,
And he provided the pee,
yeah,
is basically it.
yeah, on the first trip,
Yeah, on the
which
first.
is like, so part of the review was, "One kid got so scared he peed himself."
And Moon just, like, beamed with delight. So, I guess that's one thing you can learn from this. Find a tactical peer. No, don't do that.
No.
Don't get a pea plant. Oh, wait, no, that's wrong too.
I think you and I or interpreted that scene differently
Yeah.
because I think Moon was actually scared and was trying to cover.
Oh, I think he was too in trying to cover.
Okay.
But he was also proud of himself for contributing.
Okay, because as soon as, like, the next because for the next voyage, he, shenaniganed his way out of it and wound up drinking coffee all night.
Yeah. Alright, so let's move on. Because that review ends up attracting the attention of a different review.
Yes. Yes, they get word that this influential reviewer,
Alaskan review.
I think that he went all over.
I think they said he was Alaska's most, but whatever. Some big influential reviewer.
Yeah, was gonna come and do, a review of their attraction, and they were losing their minds about whether or not they really want to get the good review.
Yeah, because this is a guy who does thumbs up, thumbs down style reviews. And a
Yeah,
thumbs up apparently can elevate you to the highest of heights, and a thumbs
yeah,
down
will
can.
tank your business.
To which I ask, why did this super famous influencer book it underneath a name that was immediately recognized?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a lot of questions about this.
Actually, it might be a situation where he didn't know he was famous enough to be recognized, because we ran into that in our early days of Garbage Horror.
That's true. And to be clear, those reviews did not get a huge amount of views.
No, so when we would rock up somewhere, and especially in another state, and people would recognize us, we'd be like, "How do you know us?" And they were like, "We have the internet."
But
It's like
that's not it. That video's got 400 fucking reviews, dude.
it's got, like, negative reviews here.
3 people on a goat saw that. Are you friends with the goat?
Yeah,
It's like, Jesus Christ, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it wasn't like we thought you guys were some backwater hillbillies or anything.
No.
It was that we thought nobody saw it.
Yeah.
So,
We were just then we were 2 idiots with a camera and a microphone.
yeah, we got rid of the camera. It was too much work.
No.
But the point being, um, so this reviewer is coming on the ship, and they both immediately, and by both I mean Wolf and Honeybee,
Yeah.
flip their shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely 100% flip their shit and obsess with how to impress him.
Yeah.
Going to the point of reading every review he's done, researching everything they can learn about him, finding things he likes,
Yeah.
and immediately trying to change their show.
And creating an entire binder
Yeah.
that is shared with the family, and now the family is like, "Are you sure you wanna make all of these changes last minute?"
Yeah, because we just pulled off the first one,
Yeah.
without a hitch. We could probably do it again.
Yeah.
And then literally the day of they're leaving, they're still making fucking changes to it.
Yeah.
And you just know it's going to end an epic disaster.
Yeah, and Judy, Honeybee says, "Judy, are you on book yet?" And Judy's like, "You keep changing the script.
Yeah.
Like, stop changing the script and I can be on book."
Yeah. And Judy's a performer.
Yeah.
She's probably the biggest performer. Well, I guess.
Yeah, we mentioned that.
Yeah. But, anyways, yeah. So it obviously, and we'll spare the details on how things conclude.
No.
Some spoiler here, it is a Fox lighthearted animated sitcom.
Yeah.
Things do work out in the end.
Yeah.
That's not really a spoiler. That's kind of the expected and if not required ending for one of these episodes.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you do want to keep them that they do find out
Mhm.
is that this reviewer has been kidnapped by a reviewee that he gave a bad review to in the past.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind because they're doing all this crazy ass shit, and he is somebody who is afraid of the people he's reviewing.
Yeah. And one of the things they intentionally do is because they're trying to stack the deck of the rest of the guests,
Yeah.
is they bring on people they know in town
Yeah.
who are another business owners who just happen to all be people he gave reviews to.
Yes, and they all turn out to be people he gave bad reviews to.
They didn't know that when they did it.
No.
Which is kind of weird. You'd think they would have known that after reading all the reviews, which they
Yeah.
did do when they're... But
Mhm.
still, they did not think that way. They were just trying to make the audience as friendly as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they made so many changes to it that, predictably, everything fell apart. But like I said, things do actually work out at the end for them, and they get a satisfactory conclusion, we'll say.
Yeah.
Like I said, I won't spoil it. I really do think it's a good episode worth watching, and I think The Great North, honestly, is a good show in general.
Mhm.
It's one of my favorites from Fox Sunday lately, especially of the newer shows.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, you've got the core three, and then they keep rotating that fourth one out. And there have been some gems in that fourth slot, like Duncanville, that got taken away from us.
Yeah.
But yeah, Great North is a good one too, and I do recommend the show in general, and I do recommend this episode.
Yes, and I do want to mention one thing about the episode before we go into what Hans can get from it.
Yes.
And that's that the costume change for Judy changes it from lightweight chains,
Yeah, like plastic.
plastic, to actual chains because they want to impress the reviewer with their, you know, authenticity of costume. Please don't put your actors in real chains.
Especially ones like Judy who are like 50 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah.
A stiff breeze could take Judy
Yeah,
away.
it's just one of those safety things. Like I saw that part and what happens to her in it, and it's like I'm cringing the whole time because I'm like, I could totally see somebody thinking that's a cool idea and running with it and not even thinking about the safety of the act.
Yeah, and give the episode their credit. They did make it very clear you shouldn't do that and why.
Yes.
The episode did make that abundantly clear because basically Judy nearly killed herself.
Yeah.
Once again, lighthearted, fat like family sitcom. Judy's not gonna die,
Yeah.
but they did put her in enough danger to make you realize, yeah, you probably don't want to actually do that to you. You don't want to actually Bob Marley your actors.
Mm-hmm.
Wait until they're ghosts, then do it. Gosh.
Mhm.
Okay. So, yeah, definitely an episode worth checking out. So, what lessons do we think haunters can get from this?
Mm-hmm.
The first, and I think the most important, is you cannot please every customer. Nobody bats
No.
1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so, it was like, I understand this. And it's kind of funny because we just got done playing Screen Park, the game,
Yeah.
which has such a heavy focus on VIPs attending haunts.
Right.
And one of the things you're doing in that game is you're trying to build your haunt to appease the VIP so you can get them through more rooms and get more points.
Right.
And that's a mechanic that, yeah, a lot of haunts can relate to, wanting to appeal to the local haunt review team, the two idiots with a camera that go to haunts in the Gulf Coast region, whatever. But reality is that's not practical.
Right.
It's not a practical way to do a business, especially a haunted attraction, which is always going to be a mass, a mass ticket sale industry. As far as like traditional walk-through haunted attractions,
Mm-hmm.
Appeasing a reviewer can be great, and good publicity can sell a bad haunt
Right.
one time.
Exactly.
It will never sell it twice or three times, because if I go to a haunt it got a good review, on the back of that good review, and I have a shit experience, I'm going to change how I'm feeling about that reviewer.
Mhm.
Now, it might not be I dislike that reviewer and think they're a liar or whatever. It might just be, okay, this reviewer clearly likes these things more and I like these things more. I need to adjust my expectations.
Right.
Which is one of the reasons why when we did reviews, one of the things we tried to do was explain what was in the haunt as much as say what we liked and disliked, because we wanted people to pair themselves with the haunts they liked.
Yeah, basically how they feel and um what type of experience it would be without giving anything away.
Yeah. And I felt like that was important because
Mhm.
people disagree with us about what a haunt should be like. They're fucking wrong. But they disagree anyway. And you know what? They have money too. So they get they get to voice their opinions.
Yeah. They get to waste their money the way they want to, and we'll
Exactly.
waste the money we want.
So
So
the point I'm trying to make though is there's no haunt. No, I mean nothing is for everybody except for maybe oxygen, except there's that one dude that's allergic to oxygen.
my grandpa was.
Oh Christ.
Mhm.
So I guess not even oxygen is for everyone officially. Um, so fuck it. There's nothing that's for everyone. Get over that and understand that you're not going to please every customer. And if you're not going to please every customer, you're not going to please every reviewer.
Right. And if you are so focused on one customer or one reviewer or one review team, um, then the customers around that person are gonna have a lesser experience.
Now, we've had this experience in haunts before.
Yes.
We actually, one time, and I think this might have been at Decomposed. No, well, I can't remember which one it was, but ended up going behind a haunt review team that was videotaping inside the haunt.
Oh, that was a single guy, yeah.
But basically, we've been behind review teams and people that were doing that kind of thing.
Right. Well, and on the Atlanta trip, we were behind another review team um and we are great at not being recognized. Like we are so good when people don't recognize us. Um and the review team was put in front of us in line, fine, whatever. We see that they're all wearing the same shirts. But then they put us all together at the same time, like with them. And we got, you know, we were not targeted at all. We didn't see half of the stuff in the haunt.
Yeah,
It
and
was just a really bad
we've had
experience.
multiple experiences like that where we've been paired with a VIP,
Yeah,
and we've had experiences where we've been the VIP.
yeah, and I don't
Like that either.
I know, I don't like that either.
Because, to me, like, the best way for me to go through a haunt personally
Mhm.
is me and Crystal, because we always go together if we can.
Uh-huh.
But we get paired up with a couple of regular customers.
Right. Or, if we have people that we know that like haunted houses, but have not been to one that we like going to, we'll bring them so that we can get genuine
Yeah,
reactions.
every year, if we can, we couldn't do it last year, but every
Right.
year if we can, we'll drag someone new to the 13th gate.
Yeah. And that's another.
Often by force.
Yeah. Well, and that's something that I liked about this episode was that reviewer booked their ticket online. Like,
Yeah.
they paid for their thing, and we always try to pay for ours. There are a few haunts that we haven't been as successful, but we always, disclose that.
Yeah, yeah, and we disclose it. But yeah, for us, one of the things is, like you said, we try to book our tickets online in advance when we do
Yeah.
this. A, it expedites getting through the line
Yep.
so much. B, it ends that, no, it's a free ticket. No, we already paid.
Yeah.
It ends all that. And C, it makes it so, it actually makes it cheaper sometimes because we can apply coupons and discount codes and things.
Yeah.
But that depends wildly upon the haunt, actually. Some haunts are more expensive online, but it also makes it easier for us to budget and plan our finances
Right.
rather than just rocking up with tons of 20s and making it rain at the haunt ticket booth.
Exactly. Because a lot of time we will buy our tickets in August.
Mhm.
But I did like that the show showed the reviewer doing it that way instead of
Absolutely.
reaching out saying, "Hey, can I have a free ticket to come on your boat to review you?"
I still found it interesting he used his real name, even after having been kidnapped and after knowing that there's
Well, it could have been, a credit card transaction because you can't put in a fake name on your credit card.
I don't see credit card data. I don't, well, not names and stuff. I only guess the last 4.
Oh, true.
I don't see
Don't
credit
know.
card data. I don't think that, I don't know. I think he did it or used a name that was predictable enough
Mhm.
that they knew it, and that's obviously a
One of
mistake.
his pseudonyms that had gotten out amongst the
Yeah,
owner.
because but the thing is, they also seem to recognize him physically,
Yeah.
which raises, because I think he was supposed to be like the equivalent of TikTok or something,
Mhm.
a TikToker, which,
Some kind of influencer.
and that may be the other issue. He may not have been able to hide.
Yeah.
So why not just use his real name? If he can't hide, what's the fucking point, right? But yeah, but we have been in that situation on both sides where we were the VIP and we were paired with the VIP. And in both situations, I felt like playing directly to someone made it lesser for everyone, because half the joy of going through a haunted house is seeing other people get scared.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I'm there to get my adrenaline up and get a little startle or two in.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I also love seeing and feel that camaraderie with other people when they get scared and seeing their reactions.
Mhm.
That's the fun. It's getting both of those things. And when you try to center everything on one person, you sacrifice that experience completely.
Yeah.
And here they were like rigging the entire attraction around a person, which obviously in a major haunt is not practical.
Yeah, they changed out the desserts and the drinks and the
Story got shifted
Yes.
around 8 billion times.
and they
Costuming, as you mentioned, got made super dangerous.
well, so did the boat itself with the waxing of the floors.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, basically, they changed everything in the attraction. That's obviously not practical, but we have seen how haunts and numbs react when a VIP is going through.
Mhm.
And you see that on a smaller scale, and it's frustrating. I remember when Leonard Pickle went through Chamber of Horrors,
Yeah.
and it was a similar situation. I didn't do anything different.
No, I didn't do anything different when he or House of Shock came through.
Yeah. I was stuck in a shitty place that night. I wasn't in my usual place, so I guess I did do
I
something.
wasn't either.
Yeah, because some idiot decided to rearrange the entire fucking haunt for the celebrity. I
Well,
just realized that happened.
well, no, people didn't show up.
Oh, that's right.
That was the problem. So they wanted their best scares, covered.
Yeah,
So
I was in a drop panel. Never mind the cord.
yeah, I was from said drop panel to the bathroom, um, and made that work better than anybody had.
Yeah, not a high bar for yourself though, considering nobody had made it work. You made it work quite well though. In fact, you were
Exactly.
there the next week too when we came back.
No, they took it away, but had the other guy doing my shtick.
Yeah, regardless. It was so yeah, that's frustrating. And yeah, and the other thing about trying too hard to target someone is you can really piss them off.
Yeah.
Because I know there have been a few times going through a haunt where I know I'm being targeted. It's like, dude, I get this feeling sometimes in New Orleans Nightmare. At least not the last couple years, but in previous years.
Oh. No, I, um I get most aggravated when they target me specifically thinking that I'm the one that's gonna be the scaredy cat.
No.
It's like, yes, I have was born with female genitalia. That means that I am more scared than someone born with that.
Helps my uterus quaketh with fear.
Yes, exactly. Like, that is not like, if you knew anything about me from childhood on,
No.
you would know that that's not gonna work.
Yeah, and
I am gettable, but
anybody can get
yeah,
God.
yeah, but it's yeah.
Yeah, we're
Anyway,
both gettable. It's not like
yeah,
we're impossible to get, but what you need is really good tactics and an unexpected scare. You don't need to be super aggressive,
right,
because super aggressive makes you too obvious.
yeah,
Like one of my favorite scares that we got, um, not that when we were, I can't remember which haunt it was, but they had something moving low to
mhm,
get you to look at your angles, and then they came at you from the other side
mhm,
while you're looking down. It's like, Jesus, that's perfect.
yep,
You got me looking and focusing on this rat or snake or whatever the fuck I thought it was on the ground.
I think the best God I've seen for you is, because we can see each other's reactions better, was at Netherworld with the tall tree versus the short
Oh,
tree.
that one was always, because you go into the room, we went into the room and there was this big giant tree in the middle of projections on the ceiling.
And you're just looking around in awe at
And
all
then
of the decorations.
one of the fucking trees along the wall just goes, just barely moves.
Yeah.
Didn't have to do a lot of shit. And that's just it. It didn't have to be super aggressive. Didn't have to grab me. Didn't have to hold me. Didn't have to
Nope.
yell in my face. Yeah, you're right. That was one of the best gods. I also enjoyed there, even though it wasn't much of a god, when I put my hands up in the laser swamp and got a high five on the flyer. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was just fun. I just wanted to highlight that again.
Yeah.
Wasn't really a scare, but it was fun. I enjoyed that.
Well, and, speaking of fun,
Yeah.
that's kind of the point of this, is that in the show and whenever they were focusing on entertaining and just having fun with it and seeing how it went, they had a lot of fun and got great reviews.
Yeah.
And they almost tanked their business because they were trying so hard to be perfect for this person that everybody had a shit time.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things that they were doing in the first one that they were clearly not doing in the second one, because that's really what this is about, is comparing
Yeah.
the first voyage of the SS Ghost Ship to the second, is they were also playing to everyone's strengths.
Yeah.
Everyone had a job that they A, enjoyed,
Mm-hmm.
and B, were very good at.
Yeah.
And yeah, it comes together as a little bit of a hodgepodge. Okay, a lot of bit of a hodgepodge.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mishmash of different things, but they tied it together. They wrapped the haunt and the experience around those different elements.
Yeah, and they had a cohesive story and, like, it just worked.
Yeah, they floated all around. They looked at what they wanted to do. They looked at what they could contribute, and they built the story. They built the experience around that.
Yeah.
And I think that was incredibly smart, because when they tried to do the same thing around what they thought this
Yeah,
influencer want, it fell to shit.
exactly.
It's better to build the experience around your strengths, what you do well. I mean, than it is, to try and go with what someone else wants, or even necessarily even a portion of your audience wants. I mean, a good example is if we found out that we had a big VIP come into our tiny home haunt and found out that they don't like haunts shorter than like 10 minutes or whatever. Well, we're fucked.
Yeah, there's no way to stretch that out.
We're 620.
And
So what are we going to do? We're going to go out and buy a shit ton of lumber and sloppily build on rooms afterward?
yeah, I mean, that would be the equivalent for what they did.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just insane.
That's insane. And it's going to be like the human digestive tract. It's going to start out fine, then it's going to be a bunch of shit at the end.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, and, it's like when we did have, HauntCon come by.
Yeah.
That was a lot of VIPs for us.
Yeah, we didn't change a damn thing. We didn't have time to.
No.
We barely had time to clear the fucking walking path.
No, that was the year that we were close to finished, but yes, we did move everything that was being stored in the haunt to the backyard for a couple of nights.
Yeah, so, we did have to do that,
Mhm.
but we didn't change anything, and like I said, we didn't have time to, so it wasn't even like a conversation about it.
No.
But I'm glad that there wasn't, because we didn't fall prey to that temptation.
Right. Yeah.
Because we could have gone on, and added more detail or done this or done that and created a
Yeah.
different experience. But no, this is what we do. This is how we operate. And part of the joy of that HauntCon tour, at least for me when I was on a similar tour,
Mhm.
is seeing how other people do it, what they do different, what they focus, what they emphasize on, because no two haunts focus and emphasize the same things.
Right.
Some haunts pay almost no attention to detail, but put heavy emphasis on acting and heavy on interactivity.
Costuming and makeup and,
Yeah. And others do it the exact opposite, where they want to build this theatrical or movie set-like experience, but
Mhm.
the actor experience comes second. Some put heavy focus on animatronics. Some don't use animatronics at all. Every haunt puts their focus and their time on different things because nobody has the money, time, energy, space, and everything to do everything.
Right.
There's just no way you can do that and still build a cohesive experience.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, we pray, and honestly, people loved it.
Yeah.
People loved our little tour, and honestly, I was surprised, and I'm very, very glad. But I was surprised because I felt like we were a fish out of water.
Yeah, well, we didn't expect it.
No,
There was not a whole lot of warning.
no.
And even when we had people come that first year, um, before the big tour buses, which is, people who know us from here, they came by. I did change up the lines a little bit because I knew I wasn't scaring anybody. So I focused on entertaining.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. There are some obviously, if you are getting a criticism repeatedly and it is hurting your business,
Yeah.
then maybe you should look at changing something up. But
But
cha
not just one person.
even if they are a reviewer,
Yeah.
it doesn't behoove you, and honestly, it's n I honestly don't think haunt reviews matter quite as much as some haunts think they do. I think word of mouth is way more important in the long run.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's everything.
Yeah.
On that note, everyone, thank you very much for spending the past 45 minutes or so with us. Hope this was interesting. Go check out The Great North. It is a great TV series. And as we said, season 5, episode 8, Ghost Boat, is super relevant to us as haunters. Kind of weird that it came up in April, but whatever, right?
Hey, it was our halfway to Halloween episode.
Halfway to Halloween, still a little ways off. Please check out more Haunt Weekly at hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, and youtube.com/hauntweekly. Also, wherever you get your podcasts from. Until next time, I'm Jonathan,
I'm Crystal.
and we will see you all next week.